Hi, welcome back to the show. I am Brandy Meilenberg, your gut health expert, and as you know, I am here to share information with you about gut health nutrition, and all things that go along with that. So, thank you for watching, and again, remember to subscribe and click notifications so that you don't miss any upcoming episodes so you get all the information that I put out there every week. Every Tuesday, you can catch a new episode that is all about gut health right here. Okay, so today we're going to talk about probiotics. And you're probably thinking, I hear about probiotics everywhere I go. Shows up on your phone, shows up on TV, people are talking about it at work. It is a word that we hear everywhere all the time these days. And a lot of times people don't understand exactly what probiotics do, why you should or should not consume them, and what's the difference in all the different brands that are out there so that you can help determine which ones are right for you. So on this episode, I want to talk to you a bit about probiotics, how and why you should choose them, and if, in fact, there is a right time for you personally to choose them. And the answer is yes, but I'll get to that. First and foremost, choosing the correct probiotic is the most important thing, okay? So once you determine that probiotics are right for you in this moment, and again, I'll get into that pretty soon about how to know if probiotics are right for you. Once you determine that they're right for you in this exact moment, the important thing to do is to, one, have a gut health test that gives you the exact bacteria breakdown in your own gut. So what bacteria do you have a lot of? What bacteria are you missing out on? What bacteria do you really need to balance out? That gives you so much information into exactly what probiotic to take, or if to take it at all at this period. So once you have that information, it's pretty easy to then go to very reputable companies and look and see if those specific bacteria are in the product that they're selling. If you're someone who doesn't have the capacity to go get a gut health test right now, if you're someone who's not really interested in that data, you seem overwhelmed by it, and you want to just add probiotics, I want to tell you, one, that it's sort of like guessing and hoping that you hit the target, right? So it's like closing your eyes and, you know, the axe game that you can go to now where you throw axes at like darts at dartboards. It's sort of like closing your eyes and throwing that and hoping that you hit something, right? So if you don't do a gut health test for probiotics, that's kind of what you're doing, is you're just guessing and hoping that you hit a target, which for some of us, that's the best that we can do, and that's okay. So if you're not going to take a gut health test and you're going to make a guess on which probiotics to take, it's even more important that you really find a reputable company, a reputable probiotic that is going to get into your system where it's supposed to go. What I mean by that is your probiotic needs to get that bacteria into your intestines, and it shouldn't just be eaten up and consumed in your stomach. So that's the big difference, and you want to make sure that you get one that has a broad spectrum of bacteria to get you the most abundance of bacteria out there if you don't know what exactly you're seeking out. So for me, my go-to is Seed. I love Seed probiotics for many reasons. One of which is they have a very patented capsule product where they also have prebiotics and probiotics inside the one singular capsule. So what that means is you're taking both pre and probiotics with one tablet as opposed to taking multiple tablets a day to try and get that same bacteria in your system. The other thing that's really cool about their patented capsule is that is two-part. What that means is once you swallow that capsule and your stomach acids begin to break down the outside of the capsule, it's actually further encapsulated so that it can get down to the intestines where it's supposed to be before it releases those bacteria into your intestines so that they can function and live where they're supposed to live. So I know for a fact that I'm getting my probiotics where they need to be and that they're functional. So that's one reason why I choose them. I am in no way advertising them or telling you that you should or should not use them. They're just my go-to, and I find them amazing. The other reason that I really like them is they're very broad spectrum, meaning they have a lot of different kinds and types of bacteria in them, which is beneficial. They also have bacteria in them that I needed on my specific gut test. So there were bacteria that I was lacking when I took my very first gut health test a couple of years ago, And the bacteria that I was really lacking in and really needed was found in this specific probiotic. And so I found that to be really helpful. And actually, in my subsequent health test, gut health test, the probiotics that are in seed that I was lacking in, I actually have an abundance of now, which is fantastic. So with that, you have to start probiotic seeding, which I'm going to get to soon. It's a whole nother thing. But anyway, this is so fantastic and has really gotten me to where I wanted to be based off my gut health test. The other thing that I really love about seed is that not a single bit of their packaging is not biodegradable or compostable or anything like that. Like, this is glass, and it comes in a biodegradable bag that actually parts of it you can eat because they're made out of seaweed. It's the craziest thing ever. But their scientific research is far beyond anything I've ever seen for a company such as Seed. And so I have really just become a huge fan of them, and that's what I use and what I swear by when it comes to probiotics. And I will talk a little bit more about probiotic seeding in just a minute. So a question I've been getting a lot lately from a lot of you is, when do I know that I need to have a gut health test done? Well, the question, or the answer to that question, I should say, is it really depends on you. So every single person has a completely different health journey, has a completely different gut. You have different needs than me and everyone else. So to determine when you need a gut health test is really simple and really difficult. What I mean by that is, if you've never had a gut health test ever in your entire life, it is such a good opportunity to do one now. Do it early, do it quick, do it right away, so that you have that information to work with moving forward. There is nothing wrong with having information and data. You can do whatever you want with that, and it gives you power to know what direction you want to take your health journey. So if you've never had one before and you ask me when's the best time to get a gut health test done, I'll say today. If you're someone who's had a gut health test done in the past and you're wondering when you should retest, again, it really depends on what your goals are and what you've been working towards. So if you're someone who's had a gut health test before and you are really wanting to make sure that you got your bacteria balanced up and your leaky gut healed, if that's the case, then you do want to definitely do another gut health test within 6 months. If not 6 months, then a year from the first one, to really get a good grasp on how the progress is happening. If you are really seeking to use that data for something else, for nutritional value, for dealing with vitamin deficiencies, malabsorptions, things like that, it is still a really fantastic idea to test every 6 to 12 months to make sure that, one, nothing else new has popped up, but two, that you're moving in the right direction and that the treatments that you're doing and the therapies that you're using to heal that are actually working. So thank you so much for the questions. Continue sending them. As always, you can put your comments and questions down below in the boxes. Happy to answer them there. And you can also reach out to me at brandymeilenberg.com so that I can get your answers, connect with you there, and answer anything that I can. So we've been talking probiotics and prebiotics. And I mentioned earlier about probiotic seeding and told you that I was going to explain a little bit more about what that looks like. So for me, as I mentioned, I had a gut health test done several years ago, and it showed that I had an imbalance in bacteria. So what that meant was I had dysbiosis, and I had some bacteria that I had overabundance of, and I had some bacteria that I didn't have any of. And so I needed to make sure that I balanced that out and had a little bit of everything. So during that time, I started taking seed probiotics to help balance out that bacteria. Seed had a lot of the bacteria that I needed to kind of help balance that. And so I went this direction. Now, a couple of years later, and I've done a couple of different gut health tests since, I have an abundance of so many different bacteria, and I have such an improvement. But what's good to note, though, is that because I've been taking seed every single day for a couple of years now, the bacteria that are in seed specifically, which is a wonderful abundance of different kinds, I have noticed that I am now starting to have an abundance of those. Not an overgrowth, not anything that I need to be worried about, but I definitely want to keep an eye on it and make sure that the other areas, or the bacteria that are not in that product, are still being managed and maintained inside my gut. So, on my last gut test, what I noticed is I still have a completely normal value of the bacteria that are not in my seed probiotic, but they're not quite as high as I would like to see them. And so, what I have started doing then is probiotic seeding. So, it's sort of like seeding your garden. So, remember, if you think about your microbiome or your gut as a garden, we want to seed it, we want to feed it, we want to do all these great things to make it flourish, right? So, because of that, what I have decided to do is to take a different probiotic for about a month's time that has a different strain of bacteria in it. So what I did was looked through various companies that I really like, that I trust, that I know that their probiotics work really well and that they're high quality. And I looked specifically on the labels to find those specific bacteria, like the Bacillus and things like that I really wanted to make sure that I was getting enough of and try and boost those numbers just a little bit. Now, again, I wasn't trying to completely reinvent the wheel because my bacteria in my gut looks amazing, but I definitely wanted to boost those numbers. And this is where the gut health test comes in handy because I knew what numbers and what bacteria I needed to boost and which ones I didn't quite need to focus on right now. So I went and got a different kind of probiotic and I take it for about a month. And then after a month of seeding with that different probiotic, I went back to my seed. Don't you love how they named that? Seed your garden. I went back to my seed probiotics, which I love and I trust, to make sure that I keep everything in balance. So I reseeded those bacteria that were a little bit lower than I'd like to see them for a little bit and then switch back. What you can do, depending on your gut and what's going on, is that you can do continual seeding in your gut microbiome. And what that means is that you change your probiotic every month or every 2 months, depending on whatever is working for you. And that will kind of keep your bacteria in your gut balanced based off of those two different products. Now remember, we have millions of bacteria in our gut and in our body. We actually have more bacteria in our body than human cells. Think about that for a minute. We're technically more bacteria than human. Who knew, right? So you are not really going to be able to keep up with every single bacteria in your body just from probiotics or probiotic seeding. That's where our diet and nutrition comes in super handy because we get a lot of that probiotic from our food sources. So really when we're taking probiotics or prebiotics, we're really just trying to help the system. We're trying to make sure that we're getting all of those values in and keeping them up and in balance. So back to my original question, or I should say your original question, is how do you know when you should start taking a probiotic and when you shouldn't? And yes, there are definitely specific times throughout your health journey where probiotics are not a good option for you. And what that means is that your gut bacteria is so imbalanced and your leaky gut has gotten so inflamed that what happens is when you put probiotics in, the bad bacteria that's overgrowing in your system just kind of eats that up and it doesn't actually help you grow or produce new bacteria. So it actually ends up instead giving you a lot of symptoms like bloating, gas, pain, all of that fun stuff that nobody really wants. So if you are having a lot of GI issues and you haven't done a gut test, that's where this would come super in handy to give you some information on what might be going on. But outside of that, if you're having symptoms and you try and take a probiotic and you feel worse, so you have worse bloating, you have worse pain, or you take the probiotic and you have immediate pain or bloating, that's an indicator that you actually have inflammation going on in your gut. The first things that you need to do is heal your gut barrier, reduce that inflammation, and then you can start adding in some probiotics once you've killed off some of that bad bacteria to rebalance everything. So there is a time and a place for probiotics, and believe it or not, they're not always the best option or the most beneficial, depending on where you are in your health journey. So remember that even though probiotics are highly recommended, people rave about them, you're hearing about them everywhere, it may not be the best time for you right now to take them. if you're someone who has Crohn's, ulcerative colitis, something like that, and it's not completely managed or controlled, that is the other reason why a probiotic may not be the best thing at that point, because you want to get that, again, that inflammation and all of those things under control before you add in a probiotic. So really important things to keep in mind, that probiotics aren't always just the best idea and the best thing to do. And a lot of times, the best well-intentioned people, get that out fast, try and start taking probiotics to make themselves feel better and end up feeling worse because those things haven't been taken care of yet. So if you have any of those things happening and you're looking for a specific protocol to heal your leaky gut, to balance your dysbiosis, to heal that inflammation and bring that down, I do have a program for that. And you actually get a one-on-one meeting with me once a week to ask any questions you have, to talk about your very specific protocol and what you should be doing to help with that. And you can go to brandymeilenberg.com and reach out to me for more information about that if that's something that you're interested in, and getting that balance so that you can figure out what's going on with your own gut health and get back healthy and happy with no more pain. Or the other option is you can go to guthealthacademy.teachable.com, and I have a full masterclass that is online, self-paced. You have access to it forever once you sign up. And I go through all of those things, such as protocols, supplements, vitamins, different things for different reasons, how to read your own labs, so much information in that program as well. So definitely check that out. Also, if you're looking for some help in managing your gut and figuring out what's going on and getting rid of those pesky symptoms. So feel free to reach out to me in any of those locations. I am here to help and happy to talk about guts all day long. Again, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope that you found this information helpful to you. I hope that in learning so much about gut health, nutrition, and just overall body health, that you are finding something useful and getting rid of those pesky symptoms and finding the best balance for you and your own health journey. Outside of that, please reach out to me on my websites. If you would like to connect with me, there is a link on brandymeilenberg.com where you can set up a 30-minute phone call with me to ask me any questions you'd like and see what might be the best options for you. So please feel free to do that. Also, outside of my masterclass on Gut Health Academy, I also have a free mini masterclass which gives you some reading material. It's some videos and information about gut health and different things that you can do as far as nutrition, sleep, lifestyle, all those kinds of things to really start getting your gut back in balance without having to do any of the really expensive things right away, such as gut health testing, buying a lot of supplements, those kinds of things. So it really just kind of gives you the initial kickstart into getting that done. So if you would like that free mini masterclass, please go to guthealthacademy.teachable.com and download the free mini masterclass. And again, you have access to that forever. Once you download it, it is yours to watch as many times as you like. So thank you all again so much for watching, and I can't wait to see you again next week on Tuesday. And remember, there's so many episodes about gut health, so look those up. Check out any of them. I also talk about unexplained weight gain on my very first episode, so go and check that out. It's really, really interesting and good information for those of you who are suffering from unexplained weight gain based off of gut health. So again, remember to subscribe, follow, click notifications, and come back every week for another episode of information on gut health. See you soon.